rooms, have you noticed a trend to teams of something that makes them successful? Obviously, you said the chemistry, and you talked bookends and opposites attract. But is there something about a big guy and a small guy, a brawler and a flyer, a talker and a technician? Is there any trends that really come forth and bring forth a really great tag team?
Well, look, I think what we've seen be successful, and again, this is all opinion based. What we've seen be successful is Shawn Michaels and Kevin Nash, the littler guy and the big guy, the little guy who runs his mouth and the big guy that backs it up. We saw Enzo and Cass. We saw me and Billy to a different extent. I was as tall as him, I just wasn't as fit. So we know that will work. If you got a little scrappy guy and a big guy that'll back him up, that combination will work. What I think was cool about me and Billy was, and I hate to keep going back to me, but it's my personal point of reference, you know, is we were literally couldn't have been any further apart from each other as to how we lived our lives.
Right.
It was totally opposites in real life, and for some reason, it just worked. And our relationship today. Look, a couple weeks ago, I had a scare with vertigo at an autograph signing, and I had to go to the emergency room. Billy Gunn, when I came out of getting an EKG, Billy Gunn was sitting there in the emergency room and sat there next to me and left the con and everything. And like it opened my eyes and let me know, like, it's also, I've been thinking about this tag team wrestling thing. I guess I'm one of the lucky ones that my tag team partner is probably my closest, one of, if not the closest friend I have, and a brother that I could call right now and say anything to, and he would do anything he could to help me. That's who my tag team partner was. So I guess I'm spoiled that we also happen to have really good chemistry and work well off of each other. But we also have a sixth sense that I know, sounds crazy, but Ron and Bradshaw had it too. You know where the other guy's going to be and when he's going to be there. And when you have that kind of unspoken knowledge of each other's, actions and behaviors, man, you can adapt and mold and bend. And, oh, Billy's being this way. Well, I can stand behind him and do this. You know what I mean? And you just work together with what you got. So I don't know. I probably hem-hawed around that.
No, that was great, man. And it also transitioned well because you're talking about positioning and being in places and knowing where the other person is. We always hear the term psychology in wrestling. So talk to me about tag team psychology and cutting a man off. And
Yeah.
you brought it up to build to the hot tag.
Yeah, and cut the ring in half. You know what I mean? And that's the whole idea behind it. And it's what I love about it, too, is because it evokes emotion. If you are attached to that babyface who is selling at all, and that good guy, his partner, is standing on the apron with his hand out going, come on, just tag me, and they've just done a big double down. If you're not emotionally invested then, and I don't know what to do, the guys are doing it wrong. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? But if they're doing it right, you get emotionally invested whether you want to or not. And once that hot tag is made, and here he comes, and he's got to be a ball of fire. I'm going to get back to your question here in a minute. I already forgot about it, but I got another thing I want to bring up.
Yep.
What I see nowadays a lot is, and look, this is opinion-based because it's all pro wrestling, is hot tag, springboard over the guy, hit the ropes, run under a clothesline, drop kick him in the knee, Good Lord, you're avoiding confrontation with the guy who's been beating the crap out of your best friend or brother in some cases for the last 5 minutes, and you get hot tagged and you think about jumping over people and sliding under people. No, you need to start punching people. When you get the hot tag, you start knocking people down. And if you can't knock them down, you start staggering them and chopping the tree down. But you should be beating people up when that hot tag comes. So what was the original question again?
Psychology, and you're getting to that.
I am getting into that. So I think I think the bad guys got to cheat. I think that's what you can do, and it's easier in a tag team. But the art is lost today a little bit. The trick behind cheating behind the ref's back is you really have to cheat behind the ref's back. Like it's the one thing in the ring that's real is like, I'm really gonna not really hit him, but I'm really gonna do it when the ref's not looking. And that way everybody's safe and you look like a cheater because you did it behind the official's back. It's visual. You get that. And so nowadays people just do stuff right in front of the ref and none of it matters.
There's no disqualifications.
Yeah, there's no
often.
DQs. We're like, holy crap, that guy just beat him up on the outside and threw him back in the ring. That's not legal, is it? Well, some places it is. So that, to me, that's all the stuff that evokes emotion into me. Same as if when Ricky, fought Flair for the title a couple of times, you got with Ricky because he sells great and he's an underdog. I don't know if Ricky would have won the title, people would have not believed it. You know what I mean? That was a different time, and he was a little guy. Now, you bought his crap because he was real and he sold and he was scrappy. Yeah. But if he would have won the title, people might have gone like, "Oh, that's not. Wait, it's funner to watch him chase it." You know what I mean?
You brought up referees. How important is a referee to tag team wrestling in terms of communicating between the four of you in the ring?
Yeah, so he is even more important in the tag match because there's more ears that need to hear everything. And I'm talking about time cues. I'm talking about passing spots back and forth. I'm talking about, tell him I'm coming back in to arm drag me and whatever, So he's uber important. But look, referee in a singles match is that important too. So a great tag match takes 5 people that know exactly what they're doing and exactly where they're supposed to be and when they're supposed to be there. And it just so happened that back in the Dizzy there were a lot of good tag teams that could do that.
How is a tag match different in structure than a singles match?
Yeah. So we touched on that a second, but I feel like it can be structured in the same way. Now, look, and I'll touch on this, and I may have to come back to you to remind me about the question. But the construction of matches, to me, the old tried and true formula is shine, heat, hope, comeback, finish. That's my 5. That's my 5. Again, shine, heat, hope, comeback, finish. And I separate comeback and finish because, look, the heel may go over. The babyface may get a big comeback and it look great like he's doing it, and the heel small packages and pulls his tights and wins and scoots out. You know what I mean? Whatever. But so you can execute matches. You could start in the heat if you wanted to, if you have time constraints. So you can execute matches in a million different ways. The way I think you can execute a tag and a singles match is similar. And like I said, it's about the baby face looks good up front, hence the word shine. The bad guy stops him and shuts him down. Now we're in the heat. Now the hope is where you get the 3 elbows in the gut, hit the ropes, but I shut you back down. Right. So that just was giving me a little bit of hope as a babyface. Like, oh, he's still got some fight in him. Oh, but he's still
takes it back.
Now
away.
we go into the comeback sequence. So my point is, you can do both of those things in a singles and a tag match. The part I love about the tag team match is the dynamic of the relationship between the tag team members, because I think that's where, if they have a strong relationship and you're emotionally invested into them as a tag team wrestler, a couple of tag team wrestlers together, like, now I got you. Now you're hooked. And now when I'm laying down selling and going to tag him, like, I don't know, it just feels like there's so much more on the line to digging for that tag than to digging and making my own comeback. A lot of the times, if you just kind of make your own comeback, it throws away every bit of heat that you just got on me. You just beat me up for 4 minutes, and now, now we just threw all that away. So it's, I think you can construct them the same way. I just think there's more emotion in a tag match. And that's because, again, the dynamic of the relationships. This is all, I want to preface it with my opinion. I don't want this, the real smart guys to come in here and tell me how stupid I am.
As someone who's done it all, seen it all, and still sees people doing it, is there a suggestion, trick, or tip you would give to current teams on the scene that you think would help their matches today?
Yeah, look, I think some of the things I said, and I also know I sound like a bitter old man. I realize that, and it doesn't fall on deaf ears. I hear it, and I don't mean to sound that way, but I do think, because look, the tempo has picked up. Whether I like it, whether you like it, the tempo has picked up. Now we're going to talk about some of the things that I think suffer in that when that happens. And one of the things I think is selling. Like, you cannot, if you're going in this fast pace, you can't sell these things as much as you should. And especially the bigger the move gets, and they're getting pretty friggin' big, is you're just popping back up and going into another sequence right after that. And so that's the bitter old man in me. I think we could meet in the middle and make it a little more realistic. It's just we've gone very far in nothing hurts me. And I understand it gets a decent reaction when somebody super kicks me and I recoil into the ropes and then come right back and rip their head off with a clothesline. Okay, that got a pop. But what did it do to the credibility, and I know I can't believe I'm saying this about pro wrestling, but the credibility of the contest? You know what I mean? Like, what? And so that's my old bitter rant. What was the question again, Ryan?
I mean, it goes back into the psychology and controlling the emotion of the crowd and bringing them on that roller coaster.
Yeah. And see, there's again, those are written rules too. And again, this is just my opinion, but these are things that are unsaid, that if a babyface is down too long, he needs to start fighting back. And because he should be able to feel, now I'm just getting punked out. Now I'm just getting beat up. Like, you know what I mean? Now I'm not in this match at all. So if I feel like you've been beating on me too long, I'm going to fight back. Now, as a heel, you got to know, and in my day, the heel was kind of the general of the ring for the most part. He's got to know how much to give you of that hope. Like, he's not going to let you run a spot with him. You know what I mean? Or I wouldn't anyway, especially if this was the first hope spot. Now, if you did another hope spot later after some longer heat and you actually went into a shoot, reverse, block, oh, and he shuts you off again, I get that. But up front, we want to do the elbow, hit the ropes, blam, me, whatever, and shut me right back down. And so it's up to the heel and the babyface, the antagonist and the protagonist, to know their role and then just do it. You know what I mean? It's unspoken. You should know as a heel how much heat you've put on me, how long I should throw that hope spot for, and then it's up to you to shut me back down. I feel like people don't know that, or people don't do that anymore. And look, maybe it's just how I came up, and everybody's different, but I feel like communication is the key. And if we can hit the bong shot.
Yep, you're getting shot. Communication is key. We're going to keep it back on track because you're talking about all this and you're answering these right on point.
Hey, and I'm actually jacked about this. I don't know if you can tell, but I love this. Man, this is talking about the passion that I have for the industry is in the construction of matches. Like, I loved helping the Usos put together a comeback, and we would just get in the ring and just talk, and it was, I don't know, it's so great. And what was even a bigger challenge to me was when I got back up there, Vince said, you can't double feed. What I mean by double feed is the guy who's in the ring or who's on the apron cannot just run in there and do something. That's a disqualification. However, you're allowed one save per match. So you can come in there and break up a save in order to constitute a false finish. You know what I mean? Yep. You're allowed to do that. And that's creative liberty, of course. Holy mackerel.
Yeah. Okay.
But I love it. I'm with you. I feel like I took some of Billy Gunn's gunpowder before we went on the air. But no, so this was about, I just plugged Billy Gunn's gunpowder.
And it's good stuff. I mean,
yeah,
you
apparently
plug your friend's product and make it happen. I mean, we got to spread it around.
Get me back on track, Ryan.
Well, you actually were getting into the transition of what I was going to ask next.
Oh, okay.
And that's, how have you seen tag team wrestling from when your dad was doing it and you were watching as a kid to when you got in it in the late 90s and now evolve just as an art form?
Yeah. So for sure, like, if you used to watch, they didn't have a hot tag and stuff. Like, when Dad was on early, they would just get in and you'd run a comeback and they'd shut you down, or you'd tag your guy back in and they'd shut him down again. And it was like, the hope spot was almost like a tag, and let the guy flurry, tag back in, and you shut him down again. It was like, it was almost like a hope spot. So it was basically four guys having two separate matches, depending on who was in the ring at the time. It was a lot of just four guys in there doing the thing. Like, it kind of evolved when they found out, we can work together and we can do, you know what I mean? And so it evolved to where you got the Rock and Roll Express doing, and that there was a time and period where it was all of those guys I mentioned earlier, the Fabs, the Fantastics, the Rock and Roll Express, the Rockers, the, you know, the, I don't know, the Mountie, whoever, you keep going, and it's people dressed alike, wrestling alike, and it started evolving, and you realize, oh, we can get a good pop if we do a false tag behind the ref's back. You know what I mean? Like when the ref's not looking, I tag, I come in, oh, we get a great, but again, that's evoking emotion. You know what I mean? That's reaching out and going past, look at me, and reaching into your heart and going, feel something for me. Whether you hate me or whether you love me, feel something for me. And then if I can get you to feel something for me, we're in hog heaven.
Jim Joyce wants to know, or says, we all know that every hero needs a villain, so my question, of any era, who would be your top heel team? Definitely the Assassins for me. Have a great day, boys.
Yeah, I know Jim Joyce. Jim Joyce is a independent worker and also a what do they call a person who does shoes?
A cobbler.
A cobbler. He's also a cobbler, and I met him in Nova Scotia after me and Billy got there, and Billy, one of my straps on my kick pad broke, and Billy's boot needed to be resoled, and so we reached out to just some fans around, and he answered the call and fixed everything for us, and I still stay in contact with Jim. I forgot what your question was, Jim.
Well, fun fact, the cobbler, watch cobbler videos. Watching a pair of shoes get made is
incredible.
Fascinating. Like, there's so much fine craftsmanship involved in stitching and cutting the leather,
especially
and
a nice
forming
shoe,
and
right?
shaping.
Yeah,
and
a nice leather shoe. Well, so Jim's question was about the
top
heel
heel
tag
team.
team. Yeah. For me, I think it would be the Andersons, like the team we just watched earlier. Look, the Assassins, a generation earlier, 100%. They were just bad guys that were bad guys, and there was nobody liked them, and nobody, you know what I mean? And I thought that about the Andersons when I was coming up. So that's my answer there.